Hello, this video will review for faculty how to copy content from another course. This is most likely to occur when you've built one course in, say, Section A, and you want to copy everything over to Section B because you're teaching the same content in both sections. This might also happen if you are in the spring semester and you want to copy all the content over from spring semester to the fall semester since you're using most of the same content. It is important to note that your content is not automatically copied over for you. You would need to do the copy process, and you're welcome to do it as soon as the new semester's courses are built. So the process is 3 steps. The first step is to copy the content from the other course, so to do the copy itself. You'll have the ability to choose between copying all the content over or cherry picking certain items. Then you will need to, once the content has been copied over, to go in and reset the old due dates because the course will come over with old assigned due dates. So if it is fall semester, it will actually copy over the old spring semester due dates so that everything is already past due by the time the students start the fall course. So you'll of course need to reset those due dates for your fall semester dates. The third step is very important and sometimes forgotten. You want to make sure to delete or reset old announcements, and that can be very confusing to students. So say that we copy the course over from spring semester and it's copying it over to fall, and the first thing is, happy spring, or, final grades are in, something of that nature, and this is the first thing that the students are seeing in their brand new course. Of course, final grades aren't in there, they've just gotten started. So you want to make sure to reset. If you want to reuse them, reset the date so that they'll post at a later date, or just completely delete the announcements that you're not going to be using. Ideally, all of this should be done before the first day of class, before students get access to the course. It's important to know that you cannot undo a copy, so you want to make sure to check the course before copying more content into it. Sometimes someone will copy a course, they'll forget, and then recopy it into it, and it will actually make a duplicate section of every single thing in the course. So it will allow you to copy it as many times as you want. You just want to be very careful that before you make a copy, you check to see what's already in the course. Also, you can choose when you're copying a course to copy all the content or just certain items in the course. The rule of thumb is if you're going to copy or keep more than 70% of the course intact, it's easier to copy all the content and then just delete out what you're going to want to replace or not reuse. When you are copying certain items, you have to be very careful to make sure that you copy the partnering or associated files together. So let's say in the case that you are just going to copy certain items, you'll see in a moment you'll receive a list of the items you want to copy. So you want to make sure, if you're doing this, to always check include associated files. That should automatically be checked by default, but you want to make sure that it stays checked. You also want to choose to copy all the items in the category. So like you could do it for all the quizzes, or you can choose to copy only certain ones. So under each activity or each type of item, you notice it says copy all items, or it says select individual items to copy. So you can copy all the quizzes at once, or you can only choose certain quizzes you want to copy. Or you can copy all the grades or only certain grades, all the assignments or only certain assignments. If you are going the route of choosing only certain items to copy, be careful that you make sure to pair things that need to go together. So for example, if you're going to copy only the content files in the course, you want to make sure to copy the content, the course files, and the content display settings so that the content files themselves come over, as well as putting them in the correct modules. If you're copying only the grades over, you want to make sure to copy the grades and the grade setting together, because those two pieces go together, but they are marked separately on the copying certain items list. Also, if you're going to only copy certain activities, such as specific assignments, discussions, or quizzes, you want to make sure to check the grade items that go with those. If not, the activity itself will come over, but it won't automatically be hooked to the grade item, which is necessary for it to automatically talk to the grade book. So be careful, especially if you're doing this for checking only certain quizzes and only certain grade items. You want to make sure you're checking the partners that go with them. So let's walk through the copy process. So first I'm going to go into a course that does not have any content in it yet. So this is the new course that I want to put content in. Then I'm going to choose Course Admin on the navigation bar. I'm going to choose Import Export Copy Components. And then to do a copy of another D2L course, I'm going to use this one, Copy Components for another org unit. Just as a side note, if you had a course package that sometimes test book publishers will provide you in terms of like a test bank, you would actually be using the import components area, because import components is importing files and materials outside of D2L. But since this course that we're copying over already lives in D2L, we're just going to use this first one. So we're going to search for offering, and then we're going to search the semester. After searching the semester, I would want to pick the course that has the content that I want to copy over into the course. So I want to copy the content from this course into this course. So I'm going to add selected. From there, I have the choice at the bottom to copy all of the components of the course or select certain components. Again, if you plan to keep 70% or more of the course intact, it's probably easier to copy all of the components, because then you can just delete out the things that you don't want to use, like replacing course files, etc. You can select certain components if you're only wanting to copy certain things. You just have to be very careful about making sure that you are partnering things that need to go together. So let me select components, since that is the more complicated task. And notice here that we have the option to select different ones that we want. Again, you want to make sure that you always have include associated files checked in the areas that need it. And then notice that when I select something to copy, I can either copy all the items or select individual items to copy. So let's say I want to copy the content display settings, and the course files, because all three of those go together. I want to copy the grades and the grade settings. And I want to copy the discussions only. In the case of the discussions, I want to select individual items to copy, and in the case of the grade, I want to select individual items to copy. So I'm going to continue on, and then notice it's going to give me a list of my discussions, and I'm able to pick the ones that I want to copy. Oh, this one's actually letting me pick the grade items. So I want to pick the specific grade items I want to copy. So let's say I want to copy all of them but the teacher dropout. Then I'll choose to continue with that, but make sure that when I select my discussions to copy, I'm going to want to make sure that I'm checking the same ones that go with the grade items that I selected. Then I'll continue from that. I'm able to see a preview of everything that I have selected. If I need to, I can select modify, and it will take me back to the area to make those corrections if needed. And then I can choose finish. When I choose finish, it's actually going to go through the process of copying all of the content. Let's go back to the page where you're selecting the items you want to copy. So before you copy any content, again, it's highly suggested that you go to the content area and make sure that you haven't copied any content, assignments, discussions, quizzes, or grades already over, because it will double duplicate. Another way to do this is to do show current course components, and then you can come and select for each area that you think you might have content. So this tells me that within the content area, I already have a module named calendar with this document in it, so I might not want to copy that over. Here, if I go to the assignments, I can see that I don't have any assignments copied over. So while you can do it manually by looking at these areas, you can also look at it using the show course copy components. So in this case, I'm going to select all the components, and then I'm going to continue, and I'm going to go through the finish process. And when you see this, this means that the course is currently copying. It may take a little while to do so, but you're welcome to move to another page in D2L. The progress will not be affected if you move to another page. Once you see this check mark, that means that the content has been successfully transferred over, so you've completed the first step in copying the course content. The next step is to change those due dates to the new appropriate due dates. You have two ways you can do this. One way is to go right here, review and manage dates, and change them all in bulk. Before I do that though, I like to go and view my content and make sure everything looks right. So we'll go to view content, and this is going to take me to the content area of the course, and I can just kind of click through here and look at the different files and make sure that everything did come over and I don't see any broken links there. Now, say in the case that I want to change some of my documents out, I want to make sure to remove obviously an old syllabus. So to do that, I can come and do the drop down and delete topic. Now notice that when you delete something out of D2L, you have two options. You can remove the topic from the content area but keep it in the associated files. So that's in the case of I don't want my students to see it, but I may at some point need to reuse this document. If you want to do the latter, permanently delete it, it is gone completely out of D2L. So in this case, I'm really not going to use an old calendar, so I'm going to permanently delete it from this course. And then from this point I can upload my new document. So upload and create, upload files, and then pick from my computer where that document needs to come from, and then put it in this course. So that's how you can change out specific items, that just a couple of items that you know that you want to change while you can still copy the entire course and just change out a couple of items rather than having to pick and choose every single item. Now, getting back to resetting your due dates. So you can do this individually by going to the assignments area and then editing each and every assignment, each and every discussion, or each and every discussion. Some people like to do it that way to manually touch and to review their settings. Now, in this case with the assignments, notice that if you have Turnitin turned on for your previous assignments in your previous courses, you are going to want to re-enable it. So it's nice because there's just one button to re-enable it for all of the drop boxes that were in the course now that had Turnitin on. You can just re-enable and it will do it for all of the ones that you copied over. So just one button for that. So again, if I wanted to change my all due dates here, I just do the drop down. I can edit the assignment. And then under the restrictions tab here, I'll have the option to change the start and due date, and I'll be able to change it to the next semester. So if you wanted to do that manually in the discussions area, you would go to the discussions, you would choose the drop down by the name of the discussion, and you would edit that topic. You would then go to the restrictions tab, and then you would want to change that start and end date to the appropriate day and time. And then we would save that. And then the same thing with the quizzes. So those are the three main activities that will have dates on them: the assignments, the quizzes, and the discussions. But again, if you have specific dates on other assignments, you do want to come and edit those. So this is what I call the manual way, where you're going into each and every one and changing the due dates there. So that would be under the restrictions tab for every assignment, and then just change that end date to whatever it needs to be. Now, some people in their content area will have old due dates. Sometimes they put them on the specific module itself. So in this case, this module might have an end date on it, and you'll be able to see it here. It'll say ends September 28th, 2021, or whatever the date is. So if this is an old date that got copied over, you need to change it to a more recent date, because if not, if the due date has already passed on the course that you've copied over, it's going to restrict the student from seeing or clicking on any links within the module itself. So you want to make sure those dates are up to par as well. So that's the manual process. Now, another way that you can go about this in more of a bulk edit is if you go to Course Admin, you can choose the Manage Dates area, And then you can choose to filter by specific tools. I like to do it one tool at a time as to not confuse myself. So I could click on the assignments and I could filter by that specific tool. So I'm going to apply the filter there. And then I'm able to come in and click and change those dates. So here I want to change that date to, I'm going to bulk edit that date to be due, whatever the deadline's going to be, and save it there. So, and then after I do the assignments, I would go to, say, the discussions. I would apply that filter. I would be able to see all of the discussions and all of those dates. Now, say that you have multiple discussions due on the same date. This makes it really easy because you can click on all of the discussions that have the same due date, bulk edit the dates, and make it to where you just have to type it in once. So say they're all due October 2nd, and it's going to change all three of them to October 2nd at the same time. More than likely you have these on different dates, so in that case you would come here, click beside it, bulk edit the date, and then change it to whatever you want it to be, but you are able to see it all in one shot. Also, what is interesting, if you need to offset your dates, so maybe we lost a day for bad weather or whatnot, and you want to move everything back 3 dates, all the due dates back 3 dates, you can do that by selecting here, bulk offset dates, and then I can offset the end date here, and I can do it by a certain range. So I want to move all days backwards by 3 days. And so in that case, it moved all of my due dates backwards by 3 days since we lost, a day or so for bad weather or whatnot. You do have to be careful with that to make sure that they're not falling on they might have been due on a Monday and now they're due on a Thursday or whatnot. Probably not a common use tool, but something that is a feature available. Okay, so that is the second step in copying your course over, is to make sure that your due dates are set. Now, the last thing you want to do is to fix those announcements. So we'll come to the content area, and notice right out the gates, the first announcement posted is final grades are in. If I didn't fix this announcement, when my students go into the course on the first day of class, they're going to see final grades are in, and they're thinking this is the first day of class. So obviously you don't want these things posted, and you want to reset those. So we're going to come in and we're going to go to the announcements tool. And what I like to do first is read through these and click on the ones that I know I'm not going to keep. Things that are specific to the course itself, that specific iteration of the course, things that I'm not going to reuse. So I'll select all of those and then I'll just come and delete those and be done with them. Now, oftentimes in my course, though, I'll have little reminders that get posted out, just a reminder for a deadline. I don't necessarily want to delete these because I could reuse them. So in that case, after I've deleted out the ones I don't want, for the ones I want to keep, I'm going to come in and edit. And then I'm just going to change that start date. So I can come in and change that date to whatever I want it to start and end for the new semester and update it. And then that way I can come and see, which ones are scheduled and which ones are ready to be posted. And a way to make sure that they are currently posted or in the right area is if you are looking through your announcements area, ones that are old that are no longer visible to the students will say expired. And the ones that are scheduled to be released will say scheduled. And then there might be one that says published if it's currently out there for students. So you might have an introduction one ready to be already published, but the majority of the ones that you are going to be releasing in the new semester will be scheduled after you change those dates. So you can change them manually here, but again, remember that you can go to the Manage Dates area and do those updates there. It's probably maybe a little bit quicker there because the announcements tool or the announcements filter is there. And you can come through and see all the announcements and delete the ones that you don't want, or select on the ones and reset the dates there. Okay, so that is a three-step process for setting up your course after you copy it. The first step is to copy the content over. The second step is to reset those due dates. And the third step is to either delete or reset the announcement.